right. I think we are live. Let's see the reactions from the chat. Testing. Mic check. Let's see. I know there's usually like a delay. And yep, we're live. Toolman 55. Confirmed. Yes, it is confirmed. We are up in here. What's going on? What's up, my friends, my family, my fellow gamers? Welcome back to what episode? Another episode of 60 frames, no lag. I think it's like episode 290. I think it's 290. I think we're 10 away from 300.
Oh man, we're gonna have to do something special for 300.
Yeah, that's like what, 10 weeks. In 10 weeks, we went through something. You know what I'm saying? You know, we gotta do something special. We'll figure it out. But in 10 weeks, we're gonna have these bots still crying. Man, who would have thought, man, for 300 episodes, you know, preaching the truth, man, making these bots cry, you know.
From episode number 1 all the way to 300.
Yeah, from the consistency, boy. You know, that is just sad. 300 episodes, and Xbox still hasn't fixed their shit. Like, yo,
grand opening, grand closing.
that is absolutely insane, man. What's going on, man? Hey, everybody, to the chat. I'm glad you're here. Thank you so much for rocking out. I hope you enjoyed the show as we talk about it. But while you're here, hit the like button if you don't mind, please. It'll be very helpful. Also, if you share this out on your favorite social media platform, wherever you are, talk about games and stuff like that. And we're going to keep going, and we're going to enjoy this time and stuff, right? But first, we're going to talk it to the panel, see what they've been doing, right? We're going to start with Craig Harris. He got his, like, I don't know, his indie background thing going. Like, what? You wish you were at the beach or something? Like, what's going on there?
Yeah. I just came back from the pool, so, yeah, doing okay. Just finished Final Fantasy 7 the remaster.
Okay.
That fantastic game, and I'm doing the intermission. So
yeah.
That girl finally took off her.
Integrate all Yuffie's an awesome character.
Yeah, that's she's pretty cool. So yeah, doing that, and play. Playing a little Mass Effect every now and then, and
of course,
got back into DCS. Got the new HOTAS. So I've been trying to learn different things. Just do it on the HOTAS, man. This palettes amaze me that they can just. It's where they work their hands, and you know, there's all kind of videos showing like real palettes working their HOTASes, and I'm like, it's just gonna take me time to learn how to do it. I saw some female pilot an F-15. She doesn't even take her hand off the thruster because everything is over on that side. She just showed how she was manipulating her fingers. I was just like, my goodness gracious. But so I got back into that. And excited about July. The game's coming out. I'm gonna do a big podcast tomorrow because I'm off July 4th. About the games coming out in July and August. Because you keep hearing it's dry out here, and it's not. You just got a bunch of suck ass fanboys who want clicks, and so it's just easier to be negative. But that's me in a nutshell. Everything's going okay.
All right, okay. My brother J-Dub. My man's traveling all through the United States, you know, fine dining and all that stuff. What's going on, my brother?
Absolutely, brother. Hey, I'm trying to get all my traveling out the way, man. Before I got to hunker down for the election season. She crazy.
Yo, what the hell is going on here? Like, yo, I don't know what's gonna happen, bro. Like, listen.
I try to stay out of it, but I try to never let.
I need to retire soon. I can't wait till I retire, bro. I can't be in the military with these nonsense. I gotta do, you know, boy. My retirement can't come soon enough.
You right at the end.
Yes, this shit is wild, man.
Hey, Puerto Rock, last day they gonna say, I'm sorry, Puerto Rock, but we don't need you.
They could do that.
They can do that. Nobody can tell them.
Like literally right before I get my DD 214. Psych. I'm like, oh shit. Yo, this shit is crazy, bro. This whole thing.
They said, nah, that degree gonna cost you, brother.
You think you got this money for free? you think you got this degree for free?
Somebody gonna come over there and say lights out.
Oh man, they're gonna be like grand opening, grand closing, but reopening. Like, yo, man, I was about to say grand closing to my career. They're like, not today. Uncle Sam is like, not today, son. Oh man, this shit is crazy. It's wild, bro. Like this whole like this is worse than council warring, bro. The shit that's happening in politics is embarrassing. Like they say council war, like council war is nothing compared to shit what's happening in politics. Like, yo, this shit is wild, bro.
It's pretty crazy.
And I try to ignore it because I always have this saying, no matter who's in office, it never really, on the grand scheme of things, it never really changed my life. It never really changed my pocketbook or anything like that. And I get the social aspects of things changing, but for the most part, that never
it comes down to what you could do for yourself. That's what it comes down to.
Absolutely.
What you could do for yourself.
Yeah. So I can't point fingers at one or the other because that never really, did anything for that. That's not to say for everybody. That's just, I'm only speaking from my personal opinion.
I know,
but things that I'm seeing now and stuff like that, it's like, man, have we gotten to the point where, and America is still a young country, right? It's only been a thing for the last couple of 100 years. Imagine, a young society that's been dominant for as long as it's been so young. Some things, and I think just in general, a lot of times as citizens, we take freedom and we take the country that we live in for granted and some of the freedoms that we have, and not realize that it's very fragile and it can be taken away very quickly if you don't. If you look through the history of every single dynasty that has ruled, look at Britain, look at Egypt, going all the way back, all the different dynasties, and they've ruled for thousands and thousands of years.
Yes.
But America is so young, and sometimes we can be so ignorant and so naive about what it takes to keep that going. And who knows, man? Who knows? That's all I have to say is who knows, man? Because if you say anything more, that's gonna, you get this big debate, and I don't even want to go into that.
I know what you mean.
I just wish everybody well. Hope y'all doing well in the chat. Hope everybody doing good, man, and keeping it at that.
Yeah, I'm really going out of my way to. That's what I'm doing. That big gaming podcast tomorrow. I'm just gonna talk games and grill out some stuff. So just enjoy it. Not maybe drink a brew or something like that, or two. And that's what I'm doing.
Nice. All right. Okay, man. All right. Well, anyway, I mean, that's all it is, man. I guess we just, I think at the end of the day, it's just like what J-Dub said, right? Ultimately, wish the best. Hopefully the good people steps up, you know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, I firmly believe if the good people don't step up and do their part, that's when shit goes to, it's like the saying, right? The only thing necessary for evil to win is, a good man, the good just don't step in, right?
Like Colin Powell, I think.
Yeah, that's it, right? And then that's it. And, it is what it is, bro. And definitely focus, I say this, we talk about council warring, but at the end of the day, we do this because this is just fun, right? No one's really getting hurt. I'm gonna be honest. I think for some people, this is serious business. Some people are really getting butthurt in this stuff, which is weird, right? Because it's just a consumer product, right? But when it comes to actual shit you see on the internet, don't invest too much time, because the real time where you expect change is within your surroundings. It's the people that you actually break bread with. It's the community that you're actually a part of, and it's the things that you actually do yourself to make yourself a better person every day that you wake up, right? You focus on those things, yourself, your family, your friends, those that are around you, not the stuff that's on the screen, on the phone or whatever. Like, actually enjoy real life, and sure, along the way you'll make mistakes, you'll make bad decisions, but the key is to learn from it, right? And not repeat the mistakes. And how can you do something better? How you can make a better decision, right? At the end of the day, you just want to wake up and say to yourself, how can I be a better person today than the person that went to sleep last night, right? And if you guys focus on that and you do that stuff, you will have a better life. Things will change around you. You'll be fine for the most part. Sure, there's other things in a big grand schemes that is impactful, that does impact people one way or another. Like for example, the Roe versus Wade and stuff that does impact women in this country in certain states. But if the good people step up, like I said, we'll take care of those people who are, you know, being stomped on, or you know, or don't have the power to do for themselves. And I think at the end of the day, you know, we'll be all right in that facets, right? But man, we'll see how November goes. This is crazy.
Well, I'll be playing Mass Effect. Well, no, I actually have to cover that election.
Oh man, it's gonna be crazy, man. It's gonna be crazy, man. It's gonna be crazy. You know, the crazy part about this whole thing, man. The one thing that we thought was gonna be the harbinger of providing information, where now we would have access to amazing information and stuff like that, so we could be a more informed society. It actually is ending up being one of the biggest tools for misinformation, and it's not even being done by the government. It's like we're doing it to ourselves in terms of this. So that's what's crazy, man. Like dudes are just purposely misinforming each other because they want what they think in their head is the right thing. This shit is crazy, man. There's just so much misinformation and shit that is like it gets to a point where you look at the internet and it's like, man, this shit's not even useful for like the serious stuff, you know? It's just insane. Like it's not even useful for a lot of the serious stuff. Like it's like how can you trust the information that you're actually reading? It's crazy. Shit is wild and stuff like that.
Well, and that goes back to, you know, even dealing with gaming, where, you know, back in the day there was a certain bit of credibility, or at least some kind of ethics when it came to journalism in gaming. When Game Pro magazine will put something out, you can kind of take them for their word because they've played the game and they're doing their due diligence and stuff like that. And now you don't have that anymore. You just have personalities that want to make a name for themselves and want to get as much clicks as possible. And so there's no integrity there, right? And of course, you know, a lot of people can say, you know, well, you know, JW fanboy and stuff like that. Yeah, I do. Everything I do for entertainment, right? I'm not up here trying to preach the gospel of anything to anybody outside of the gospel of PlayStation. You know what I'm saying? PlayStation greatness. You know, other than that, I'm not, you know, I don't expect anyone to, how can I say? I'm not, you know, there's no corporation behind me that's pushing this. You know, I don't get anything. I don't get a dime out of this. I just like coming on here, having fun, talking shit, and talking about what games we've been playing and stuff like that through the conversation. I'm not trying to sell anybody on it.
Yeah, I think that's the key. Like they're trying to push it on behalf of the company, and hopefully the company will reward them. And it worked, and we clearly see that. We clearly see that that was the main motivation and stuff, which is crazy. Because I'm not gonna go and outright lie to people over something that's like, you out your mind. I'm not doing that for anybody. I'm just not. I can't screw over another person on that. I can't. I'm not gonna screw over, you know, random strangers over some shit that's just not true. Like, nah, fuck out of here. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, that's when I was on.
Out your mind.
When I was on Crossfire that day, and those guys, those Xbox, quote unquote Xbox guys, were admitting that's not what they told us. They said they were gonna, you know, they're going to compete. It's like, wait a minute, why would they have private conversations with you? And the truth starts coming out. You know, they were in that symbiotic relationship with them. It was just disgusting. So just it's unfortunate. Yeah, but I would tell people, if you just want to get back and talk games and stuff like that, because the console war is over, and that's another problem, is those guys are struggling transitioning to something else, and because there is no console war anymore. If I can go get a Fire Stick at Walmart for $39.99 and play Xbox games, your console war is over. But yeah, it's unfortunate. Yeah, there was misinformation out there, so you just have to, you know, source it from 2 to 3 sources before you report it. Just like with Sony with the whole disc thing. Well, they're on the Blu-ray committee. They're not getting out. You know, it's just they were moving some stuff around, but people ran with it. So it's unfortunate.
Okay, all right. Well, we got 2 more coming in. What's up, Extreme? What's going on, my brother? From down under.
Yo, so I actually got some tea and biscuits.
Oh, snap.
Oh, tell me.
Yeah. Had to get some tea and biscuits. It's a beautiful blend right now. It's a beautiful blend of tea. The biscuits is coming later. But yeah, I'm good. What are we talking about?
Right now we're just doing a little bit of small talk. I think it was Jada who mentioned that, shit's going crazy here in the U.S. in terms of politics, and then it just ultimately led into the conversation of just how the internet is just a place full of misinformation, and now it's now it's slowly tying into misinformation within gaming, which is good because it's going to segue. It's going to segue into the first topic.
Okay, no problem. I'm ready for it.
Okay, you're all about it, right?
All about it.
And then we got, who's here? Who's here? Man, you guys got
the judge.
This is the judge, right?
Judge.
Man, you got to put like a judge in there. Put like one of the old colonial judge picture on there. You know what I'm saying? So that way,
the hair and stuff.
Yeah. That's what we see. You see, I think there was a picture. I guess they still do that in Africa. In certain countries, they still wear the traditional judge garb with the white hair. I was like, what? I was like, yo.
It's part of their colonization.
Yeah. I was like, man, this is...
That shit crazy.
That's just crazy, but it's funny. Like, I get it. It's traditional, but it's just so funny that so far 2024, somebody in Africa didn't be like, yeah, we don't need to do that no more. I don't think that's necessary.
I have so many things to say about that. We're just gonna skip over that conversation.
Do you know? But Extreme. You know what I'm talking about, right?
We're just gonna skip over that conversation.
But you're telling me in 2024, African is like wearing this white thing. He's like, and he's looking around. He's like, wait a minute. I don't think we need to wear this anymore. What about you guys?
Like I said, we're just gonna skip it. We're just gonna skip over that one.
He's like, focus on Xbox. It's dog shit. He's like, yeah. He's like, skip.
That shit hurts.
It's just funny. When I saw that picture, I'm like, wait a minute, that shit still happens? Oh, it's crazy. All right, but Judge, man, what's going on, man? I'm glad you showed up.
I'm glad to be here too, man. I know it's been a while since matter of fact, 2 weeks since I last spoken to y'all. Just life in between work and family. But I finally got my PlayStation Portal. I tend to buy that or rather use it when I go on vacation next week, and that'll be the real test. But so far, I'm quite pleased with it, especially getting older when I don't want to get out and I want come inside the office to play the PlayStation 5. I just get the Portal and I can play PlayStation 5 right in my bed.
Okay. All right. Okay. Awesome. I mean, that's ultimately, I guess, what Sony's trying to do. Just get people to play their PS5, put in more hours with convenience and stuff like that. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to kick it in with the first topic. All right. So before we get to the first topic, once again, I want to say to the chat, all right, we already got 200 viewers up in here. Thank you so much for coming through. I hope you enjoyed the show. Hit the like button. Share this out. Consider becoming a member and being part of the family and stuff. But, we're going to get to it. And the first topic is Xbox is dog shit. Once again, right? Facts. Big facts, right? Xbox is dog. No, but, all right. So now they're just Foundry. They try to do their investigative services and they're like, man, we got to find out what's going on. And the combos with the power difference between Xbox Series X and PS5. Before we hit the topic, we're gonna talk about this because you know why? I'm gonna show you why. People think, why we gotta talk about this? This is why. I'm gonna show you why. Cause we went through a period of this bullshit. Let me see. Here we go. I'm gonna put this on the screen.
Oh no.
Nah, we're doing this. We never forget. Like, listen, man, we can never forget. All right. I want to see where like this shit. Look at this shit. Look at this shit right here. Let's look at this shit. Look at this shit. Man, we got Dealer Gaming. Laughing my ass. He says, laughing my ass off. Wow, that's a doozy, buddy. Just so you understand, the GPU alone on Series X is 40 to 50 frames per second faster than PS5. 40 to 50. That's on top of what is likely better ray tracing. That's on top of 100 plus gigabit per second more bandwidth. On top of a faster CPU. Have a great day. He out here mic dropping shit on us. This is 2020. Look at the date on this shit. This shit is March 2020. That shit is wild. Like, we're nowhere near even close to seeing the games, and they're already making this. This is another one, March 26, 2020. Laugh it out. It's math. minimum of 40 to 50 frames per second on GPU alone, in addition to better ray tracing. This delta alone is huge and can be put into extra effects, resolution frames, so much more. That's okay though. It should be $100 more expensive, as I've always been saying from the beginning. See this wild shit, but no, there's more. We're not stopping here, right?
Oh,
obviously, you got deal at the top part, but you know his buddy, 30% of power advantage is a lot when you're talking better performance in pixels, better ray tracing, you name it. Almost every game will look and feel better on Series X over PS5. But that doesn't stop there. No, we got more. Hold on. We got more. We gonna go through all of this shit. Tom Warren. Tom. Right? Tom Warren. My man out here saying it's gonna be interesting to see how often the PS5 GPU CPU clocks run at their top frequencies. It looks like the real performance of PS5 will be in the 9T flop area. And Microsoft is claiming sustained 12T flop performance on the Xbox Series X. There's always gonna be a gap. Always. Right? That gap, you might as well call it social distancing. You might as well call that shit. That's how big the gap is. And of course, Chris Grenell's my favorite, bro. He's my favorite out of all. I don't know why, but he out of all the fanboy. Yeah, because he worked on PlayStation during the PS2 era. Obviously, when they fired his ass, he didn't get his severance pay. Right? He didn't get his $10 severance pay. So you know he's upset to this day, right? But so far, he's been my most favorite fucking Xbox fanboy guy ever. He said, I chatted to a few devs. He spoke on the phone. Hotline bling. I chatted to a few devs, and they confirmed the power difference is quite staggering. However, it's quite staggering, bro. This is like, wow, bro. The mother of all bombs type shit. However, they have said it doesn't mean you can't make good games on the PS5. These fanboys clearly don't care about that and are massively rattled. The funny part about his tweet is he starts out the tweet making the point about the power difference, but then he finished off the tweet as if no one should care about the power difference. That is why this is my favorite. Because if it didn't matter, then why would you make this tweet to begin with? You clearly want to and this is a lie, because I guarantee no developer said that the power difference is quite staggering. Because if it was, why is Xbox? Yeah, they didn't say that shit. This lying ass, these lying eyes. Yo, it's and this is why we not letting our boot off their throats. Like, no, that's never gonna happen. No, sir. We will not let this go.
You know what we're gonna do? What I'm gonna do. Go ahead, J-Dub.
No, you go ahead, brother.
I was just gonna say what we're gonna start doing, and I'm announcing it here on 60 frames no lag. We're gonna start putting this stuff out about the PS5 Pro. How it's a staggering difference, and that doesn't mean you can't make good games on Xbox.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put that up right
now. The truth is, they don't want to make good games on Xbox. Motherfuckers are skip. Xbox skip. You know what I'm saying? So why am I bringing this up? Well, it's because Digital Foundry wrote an article and did a video on their DF weakness. Says, if Xbox Series X is more powerful, why do some PS5 games run better? We finally have some answers, right? And this is let me read a little bit of their stuff. On paper, Xbox Series X is a considerably more powerful piece of hardware than PlayStation 5. So why are we looking at a console generation where the Sony and Microsoft machines often deliver like-for-like results? It's a puzzle that has confounded many over the last few years, and after discussions with multiple sources, including some of the highest profile AAA developers in the business, we finally have some answers, and it's all laid out in this week's edition of DF Direct Weekly. In terms of technical specifications, Xbox Series X is undoubtedly the most powerful console on the market, at least until the mooted PlayStation 4 Pro arrives. Its GPU hits 12 T-flops, augmented by a handsome amount of memory bandwidth, a max of 560 gigabytes. PlayStation 5, 10.23 T-flop of GPU compute is available, fed by 448 gigabytes of bandwidth. It's a clear divide then. If we were to see the spec comparison in the PC space, you expect to see the former handily outperform the latter. Except this hasn't happened this generation, and by large, it's the closest console generation we ever seen in the bulk of multi-platform releases. The differences are fairly minimal. One machine may outperform the other, vice versa. Sometimes there are differences. It comes down to variance and dynamic resolution scaling, what often looks invisible to A to B comparisons. It's a far cry from the Xbox One X and PS4 Pro face-off where the Microsoft machine commanded obvious advantage, or the PS4 and Xbox One comparison where Sony typically held a similarly noticeable lead. Now, let me go back to here is, so after a few years of conversations with developers, what's the explanation? How can a less capable machine outperform the more powerful one? As seen recently in our Elden Ring Shadow of Erdtree coverage, the frame rate differences in favor of PlayStation 5 is surprising, bearing in mind it's apparently the less capable machine. We've heard some interesting theories over the years, such as how the Xbox X split memory set up 500 gigabytes of bandwidth on fast memory and 336 gigabytes on slow memory may be impacting performance. But the number one reason we heard from developers concerned the nature of Sony's development environment. More than one key AAA developer tells us that the PlayStation GPU compiler is significantly more efficient than the Microsoft's alternative, meaning that there's better utilization of the graphics hardware. In general, we understand that the lower level API access afforded to PlayStation development means game makers get more from the hardware. The second most common explanation we receive from developers concerned the nature of the GPU itself. Mark Cerny himself discussed this way back in March 2020 when he revealed the technical specifications of the PlayStation 5. While the console may have fewer compute units than Xbox Series X, 36 versus 52, you still haven't found those GPUs, right, Craig?
The CUs, correct. I'm still
yeah. Oh, the CUs, yeah.
Don't forget the hidden GPU.
The hidden GPU, right?
A hidden GPU.
Shit. Right?
Who said this stuff?
All right. So
it was a 25 teraflop machine.
Oh, so yeah, 25 T-flops. Remember that? If you activate the ray tracing cores, God, this shit. I cannot believe 2020 was real. It's got to be COVID. COVID caused all this shit, bro. Because this shit was just. It's unconscionable, the shit that happened. But anyway, so 36 versus 52. The entire GPU runs faster, meaning that certain tasks will complete faster, better suiting certain game engine designs. The extent of this advantage was always an unknown as PS5 operates with a boost clock on both CPU and GPU. A maximum clock speed will be limited by a power limit on the processor. However, we've yet to hear any complaints from developers about the boost clock unduly impacting GPU performance. In terms of raw numbers, there's an interesting tidbit from the recently leaked PS5 Pro developer documentation engaging the CPU boost option, which increases clock speeds by 10%, only sees GPU performance drop by 1%, effectively negligible then. Right? So I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'll put the link in the description box and stuff. But I guess what the conversation and stuff is, and it's what, rest in peace Optimus Code, and what was mentioned, right? Paper specs doesn't mean anything until the real world performance and how it's configured. Mark Cerny did even tell us that T-flops is not a good number to judge that, right? There's so many factors that is considered, right? Bottlenecks and compilers and Optimus Code was trying to tell us, like, the specs don't matter, because once you try to bring it out to real world, now you have to look at developer talent, the compilers, and all that other stuff, the tools and all that stuff. And he says when all of that is synced and synergized, that's where you'll get your well-performing console and stuff like that. And people did not want to listen. They were not trying to hear that. They were using paper specs as the end-all, be-all, and not the actual final product that's put together and see how it performs together, right? Craig, we'll start off with you. Since you're chilling on the beach, you got time.
I don't know what to say about this. I still remember the article from IO and then the developers from Ubisoft and the developers from Crysis that make Crysis, the Cry engine. They were saying that the PS5 was going to pack a hard punch. And you're right, Mark Cerny did say to people in that Yawn Fest that he had that, it was ASMR or AMR, whatever it's called. They, that's the using T-flops to think you're going to get good performance is not good considering the way a GPU and CPU talk to each other. and how fast the PS5 is clocked. So it was just a matter of a time. It didn't shock me because I had to build my computer on a budget, and I was taught by the PC community what parts to look for that are going to give me the best performance. So when I saw what they did with the PS5, I'm like, oh, well, the 10 T-flops, that's all those developers needed. That's with overhead. Because Cerny said years ago, you only need 7.4 teraflops to do 4K, I think at 30 frames per second. And that was with the old architecture. And, it's just, it's a shame that it got to this. But my whole thing, we now know what happened. We know they were in a parasitic relationship, with Microsoft. Where is Dealer Gaming at? Where has he been? If there's something going on, my heart goes out to him. But that man's not been podcasting for close to 6 months.
Yeah, I hope everything's okay with him because he did grow.
Everything's okay.
He did grow, but he did grow his channel. His channel was blowing up. Or his channel did blow up. So I hope everything's okay with him from a real life personal issue.
Yeah, real life. Yeah, I'm not mocking it. So the way that the CPU and GPU talk to each other, plus Optimus Code, I talked to him. He was like, Smart Shift is going to be the difference here because and their variable clock. And he said those are the two big differences in these consoles. Is one can offload information faster and sequence, not just offload it. It's not that the Xbox doesn't offload the information fast. It just doesn't do it as fast with the sequencing. It doesn't do it as fast. So it's like playing the game perfection. You're putting the stuff back in. The PlayStation does that faster. So that's why you have the less pop in, you have less screen tearing. And now I think we all agree there were some things that Xbox had at launch, the 1440p support, the VRR support that Sony did not have. Everybody said, yeah, Sony should have had that at launch. That's true. But this overall, I'm just I was disappointed. These guys are still talking about power. Like they're still talking about it. Well, you all said Sony's SSD was going to make a difference. It is. That SSD is that's the control unit of that system, and it's making a difference. And I don't get it anymore. We have games on PlayStation for years that were 60 frames per second. Xbox is just now getting there. We're about to go into the back half of this generation. So it is just, for me, it's mind-boggling when you can look at what developers are saying, or you can listen to Dealer Gaming and D-Batch and Code. You all got to make up your minds at this point.
Okay, all right. We'll go with the antagonizer in chief, J-Dub. You've been preaching. You try to push the sermon. You want next gen, all them Xbox. You try to warn them. They didn't want to listen.
Listen, they didn't want to listen to me, man. I said this a long time ago. We've been fighting the good war for a minute. And I try to tell them, if Xbox can't beat Sony at their worst, which was PS3 era, they damn sure can't beat them at their best. Right. And it didn't matter how many T-flops the console had. We saw the PS4 Pro keep up with the Xbox One, Xbox One X. We saw this generation, right? The 9 T-flop system with the GCN hybrid, whatever post my brother posted.
It's not 4RDNA. Right? It's GCN hybrid RDNA. I'm like RDNA 1.5. Like what?
Yeah. So I learned I learned to embrace all the shit that they said. I learned to embrace that now. That the PS5 games are running better, looking better.
At 9.2 T-flops.
Yeah. They were like, no, it's not. It's 10.4. No,
it's 9.2 at GCN hybrid.
Exactly. It's technically at 8.7.
Yeah, they even went down to that. They even said it was like 8 point something. Oh man,
I find, but it goes back to what I was saying earlier about how, you got credible or people who were supposed to be credible because they're funded by the IGNs of the world. They're funded by the Kotakus and the other publications out there. So you thought that there was some sense of, hey, we have to fact check this stuff. We can't be fanboys. We can't just throw stuff out there. But that all that stuff is out the door because you just posted something with Tom Warren, right, out there putting out all the information
for no reason.
Xbox Series S is going to outdo the PS5 and shit. So those fanboys that get those journalists or wannabe journalists or whatever, however you classify them, they bought the Kool-Aid. They bought into the Kool-Aid of the power. And back then, we never even said anything about power. It was about we have the best first party studios. At the end of the day, it's all about the games. And technically it is. It has nothing to do with power. Look at Nintendo, the weakest console on the planet. They're still able to dominate, right? Because they put out great games.
And let me say this before. Oh, go ahead, Jada. I was going to say something real quick. No. Go ahead and finish. I was just going to say. I was literally just going to say the fundamental problem is that they believe that the reason why the PS4 outsold the Xbox is because it played games at 1080p. And they literally, the Xbox was playing games at these weird ass resolutions, 790, 900p, just crazy. Right? And so they said, well, everybody left because of the power. So when they had the more, like JW said, when they had the more powerful console, they thought that was going to change everything. People like post up saying it's RDNA 1.5. And I had a RDNA 1 card. And I'm like, well, how's it going to be able to do ray tracing? Because I got an RDNA 1 card. It doesn't do it. I had a 5600X at the time when these consoles got announced. And he could never answer it. And then they said Lisa Su was lying when she announced the console.
Yeah, I remember that.
She's the CEO of AMD.
They said she was lying. She's just saying that. Yeah.
Like she's just gonna lie for PlayStation? Like what's the what?
And I'm like, look, she can't lie to her investors. What are you talking about? And these guys were like, she never really did say that. It's not a full RDNA console. And then the first game that comes out, Devil May Cry, it's performing better. And Digital Foundry's like, well, yeah, this has kind of caught us off guard. We don't know if it's not fully optimized, like for the Xbox. I mean, it's kind of like, no, it's just a better console. But
I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm glad you mentioned that. Because Digital Foundry, they take some blame into this as well.
Yes.
They could have put an end to all of this banner a long time ago if they would have just been honest and talked openly about it. They really didn't address the issue for quite a long time. And even then, they still gave the Xbox dudes hope, right? And I get it. Digital Foundry, they were trying to get their bread up. They was trying to get the clicks and the views, and they was trying to, they're in it to make money, right? And I get that. But all of a sudden now here it is 3.5 years into the generation cycle. And you now want to talk about it when before, when the first game came out showing that the PS5 was running better multiplayer.
Yep.
They could have easily stated, hey, what Mark Cerny said was correct or whatever. But they actually, if you go back and watch the video after he did his little presentation on the PS5, they were actually giggling and laughing. And y'all know I keep receipts. I keep it all in my phone. They were giggling and laughing about the variable clocks and this and that. And they were pretty sure of themselves that the Xbox Series X was going to have a huge delta, as Dilla Gaming then would call it Delta, right? That's why we call them the Delta Boys.
Delta Gaming. Delta Gaming.
Yeah,
shout out to
it's crazy.
Shout out to me. Let me segue that in with the super chat. Full Sweat Tryhard. He said Delta Gaming was such a clown. So glad that douche is gone. Delta Gaming. That's just crazy. Yeah. He put that moniker into the community. The Delta. I mean, that's a military term too, so I hear that a lot. But every time I hear it, I just instantly think, oh man, these fucking console war bullshit. The Delta 4050,
And so they put that information out there, right? And then it grows within that community. And they stick to that. And then they started with the tools. Well, you got to wait for the tools. The DX20 want to unlock the tools. And then we waited for a year. The tools didn't come. Or they finally said the tools were there. And nothing changed. PlayStation was still beating the shit out of Xbox.
Shit is crazy.
Performance matchups. And then they just dropped the tools. Like, they stopped talking about the tools. And then it became the lazy devs. Remember Puerto Rock? Oh, the devs are just...
Oh, Sony's paying. They're paying for it.
And then it became money hat, right?
And money hat and specs.
All these excuses. But then when
God.
Microsoft's first
Don't
party
forget about
games,
parody.
The parody, or the
exactly,
forced parody,
right?
The parody almost.
But this is what
man.
really killed them. Once Microsoft first party next gen games start coming out, and all of them started being 30 frames a second, then it became a problem. You had your Redfalls. You had your
that should have never launched at 30 frames. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. It was. Then you had your Starfields. Then you had your Hellblades, and then on and on and on. All of their games, right, started being 30 frames a second, and some are like 692p and all. And then they started coming up with these excuses of why these games are like that. But then PlayStation guys will be like, look at our games. We got the Spider-Man 2s, we got the Horizons, we got we get the spectacularly like groundbreaking games with running 60 frames a second with ray tracing and instant loading and all of this. So what's the excuse for people that got 4 more extra T-flops? Like, and they have yet to be able to answer that. And here we are, going on 4 years, and now we just decide to tackle this issue head on and finally say, you know what, Mark Cerny was right. It's not about it wasn't about the T-flops. It wasn't about what's on paper. It's about real world performance and how these developers are going to utilize the hardware. And, at the end of the day, 9 T-flops is spanking the shit out of 12.4 T-flops. And it doesn't matter what kind of console they got going next generation. It can be another world's most powerful or world, whatever Sarah Bond said. It's not going to matter in the grand scheme of things. If you can't get some talented developers together and give them a ease of use hardware, development whatever it is they ask. And that's what I like about Mark Cerny. He said our number one thing after we released the PS4, we went to developers and asked them what they wanted, what would make their job easier. And he said they talked about the SSD and they talk about the API and all kind of stuff that he went in depth. But people laughed at him, people mocked him, they said it was boring and all kind of stuff. And here we are now. The dude is vindicated, and that damn PS5 Pro is hot on the heels. So if you thought the PS5 was smoking the Xbox, I mean, can you imagine what's going to happen with the PS5 Pro versus the Fire Stick?
The cloud. This is cloud, and these guys were literally just mocking cloud gaming. It doesn't work well, and it doesn't. I mean, it depends on your internet, I think. But in some cases, it does work well. But they were mocking it. Now it's, this is terrible. This is bad. And now, Xbox is doing Fire Stick. Yes. And now we're going to count every Fire Stick sale as a console sale. Just like, man, this is crazy.
Xbox now has over 200 plus million.
Yep.
Console. It's like, oh man, I'm done. I'm checked out Puerto Rock. That's it. I'm done.
Yo, can I get in on this?
Of course.
Oh, yeah, please.
Go ahead,
of
brother.
course.
Go ahead, brother.
Listen. Let's just take a moment to realize that Digital Foundry is still at fault here. They still haven't admitted fault, right? They still didn't say we got it wrong, right?
That's true.
All they're doing now is they are saying, oh, we are so surprised because it's so powerful. I mean, they are still maintaining, even in this article or in this video, that it is more powerful than the PS5. And I've always said this, comparing teraflops and clocks and higher speeds or whatever, is like comparing megapixels on the camera or comparing resolution on a display. Everybody here, especially people who are like, oh, I'm into PC, the ones that are supposed to care the most about the specs, they all do research. They all know that one 4040p monitor isn't the same as the other 1440p monitor. They know that the 4K monitor isn't necessarily better than the 1440p monitor, depending on whether it's IPS panel or it's a NFT panel. I don't know all of these fucking panel types, but they know all of them. A VA panel, exactly. They know all of the little differences and advantages and all of this. When it comes to TVs, they know that, oh, an LED versus mini LED versus quantum dot OLED versus, everybody can go into all of the little delinearizations about all of these different types of technologies in order to say that, oh yeah, this is the best screen for me because for my budget and what I'm trying to do, this is the one. And they all know that just because something says 8K but it's from a no-name brand, like a no-name Chinese brand you never heard of, versus a 4K LG, G4 or whatever, They all know the LG is better, but somehow we're going to be dumb. That's what I don't like, is the dishonesty of it all. Somehow we're going to be dumb when it comes to console. Even though you have the literal console architect that told you, hey, this is not the specs you want to hang on, And notice that he offered you no spec to hang on instead. He didn't say, hey, care about T-flops, but also, no, don't care about that. Focus more about this one. Because he also knows that he can't just be like, oh yeah, here's this other number you should care about more because, we are somehow better than Xbox in that. Even the SSD, right? He said he was like, hey, this is a cool SSD. This is why we did, and this is why we believe in it. But he didn't say because our SSD is faster, we're going to be better than the competition. So the truth is that Digital Foundry, they are just frauds. And even now, they want to make it seem like, oh, the hardware is more powerful, guys. What do you mean? It is more powerful. It's Microsoft software. Like, we were always right. It's just they fucked it up. And that's no different from blaming the developers the way that the fanboys were doing. So like I've always said, these guys are just fanboys with a badge. That's all they are. Okay, that's the only difference. They are just more official fanboys than others. That's it.
Fanboys with a platform.
There you go. They're just fanboys because they work for Eurogamer, don't they? They're fanboys with a badge. That's all they are. That's all they are. That's the only difference, The difference between Dealer and Digital Foundry, that's just it. Just, they've got a badge and he doesn't.
Yeah.
Okay. The Judge, what's going on, brother?
All right. So before I start, Porter Rock, how much cursing can I do? Whereas you can still monetize your.
I'm not sure. It depends how much That's the first time somebody asked. I'm like, All right, I try to keep it PG-13. Really, it's not so much for monetization. It's just the audience. Some guys they have families in the background and stuff like that.
All right.
So don't go too crazy. No derogatory shit.
Put on headphones.
Don't be like Thrash and say the N-word 50 times back to back.
No, I don't like to use the N-word. I was more thinking of the F-word.
Okay. I mean, you can say that every once in a while.
The kids know that one.
All right. So I'm going to start off with this. As far as Digital Foundry, they are journalists because I know their original intent, they were a derivative of Eurogamer. Meaning that, hey, they provided game reviews. However, and I think M and J-Dub did a really good job of really, hitting the nail on the head. Anytime you come off, anytime that you can come off and act as if you know more than the actual developer is, himself, in this case, Mike Cerny, there is a big fucking problem with that. And the problem that I have with Digital Foundry, as I said, is that, you guys are journalists and you guys have access to certain tools, or rather to tools that the general public does not have access to, but by no means should you use your authority as journalists to get into something that's related, but it's not the same as far as we're talking about technical aspects of a particular system and act as if now you guys talking as if you're engineers. Like most people, if they didn't know any better, they wouldn't know any better. So that's number one. Two, along with M. But I'm gonna go a little bit further. To me, Digital Foundry are practitioners of yellow journalism. To me, very, very no different than Fox News or any other pundits. Whereas they got great production, and the production is in their opinion is shown as fact. But it's not. It's just opinion with great production value to it. Nothing more, nothing less. As you guys said a little bit earlier, Digital Foundry, they've been fanboying as far as the way that they come about doing things, as far as comparing, numbers, 12 teraflops to, we heard the bullshit before, 9 teraflops, even though it came out as being 10.3 teraflops. Who do you think I'm going to listen to, or who do you think we should listen to? We should listen to the developer who actually built the fucking system. But the way that they went about this whole thing is very reminiscent of the whole console wars back with the Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo. I mean, that was all about the bits as far as CPU power, even with the with the Sega Saturn and the PlayStation, whereas the Sega Saturn had was at 28 megahertz and the the PlayStation was at 28 megahertz, and I want to say that the Sega Saturn was at 23 megahertz. But as M said, you can't really just go by that. You got to go through. It's just more than just looking at numbers. So as far as Digital Foundry, as far as I'm concerned, they are yellow journalists. I felt that way about them for a long time, and the fact that they have a much bigger platform, they're not the same thing as a Diller Gamer or even us here on this channel. They were a reputable company, but to me, their reputation is totally tarnished, and it's not lost upon me that back when the Xbox One X back in 2017, when that was shown, the first people that had access to that was Digital Foundry. So for you to say to me, or if anybody was to say to me that Digital Foundry is an objective, an independent third party, nah. They, to me, they laid in bed with Xbox as far as I'm concerned for them to get access to their One X back when when it was first revealed, because I remember that was a whole big giant reveal, and it's a certain thing, to me, there is a what's the word I'm looking for? There is a threshold between, getting the bag and chasing the bag I can respect, but up to a certain extent, it's to, I'm not willing to get the bag if it means that I got to put my integrity on the line. And that's exactly what, in my opinion, that's exactly what Digital Foundry did. So as far as I'm concerned, fuck Digital Foundry. And that's it for me.
Oh, there's the F-bomb. I think this whole ordeal stemmed from a couple of things. Number one, Microsoft was much more, for lack of a better term, I don't know, in tune is a bad term, but they were much more open with the public. What I mean by that is they were all about, trying to build that grassroots community, right? They were all about trying to have the people sell the product for them, right? The goods, access to games, all this other stuff, they were all about trying to prop up the community to try to push, an Xbox narrative and stuff like that, which I think Digital Foundry, with the first unveiling of the Xbox Series platform and stuff, was like one of those major things. So it was like a campaign to try to get into people's good graces, right? Send them free gift bags, some free Xbox Series S consoles, some access to Game Pass and all that stuff. While Sony wasn't doing that. Sony wasn't really doing that as much. Sure, they had their when PlayStation 5 finally launched, they had their few typical big, social media outlets and stuff like that, right? But for the most part, not as big as what Microsoft was doing with Xbox Fan Fest and all this other stuff, right? Even guys like Tim Dog and stuff like that, right? Like when you think about it, PlayStation doesn't have really their own version of Tim Dog. They never did. Like to prop up somebody that's ready to console war and actually blow up, and then actually like have Phil Spencer's number like directly and shit like that. There's no PlayStation equivalent, because I don't even think Mystic Ryan even has that level of access with PlayStation. Like he doesn't even have that level of access. But
that tells you a lot. And I've always said this about the PlayStation community. The PlayStation community technically doesn't give a fuck about executives at all.
Mm-hmm.
Never have, right? We will tout our goatees and our bangers and our favorite studios from within the PlayStation first party studios. We will tout them till the cows come home. But anything above, like Jim Ryan, people talking shit about Jim Ryan, nobody cared. People talking shit about Sean Layden, nobody cared. It's because PlayStation is bigger than those individuals. Who cares? Like, those dudes are not flying people out. They're not giving you free PlayStations or anything like that. Like, it just doesn't exist on the PlayStation side. The Xbox side, of course, Microsoft chose the grassroots effort to basically buy everybody out, give them free Xboxes, give them free passes, fly them out to Redmond, Washington, so they can come back and lie to you about Redfall, tell you how great it is. And then, you see what I'm saying? I mean, this is proof. This is actual stuff that goes on, right? You never heard about J-Dub flew out to Japan or to Sony Santa Monica. You never heard about Puerto Rock flew out to, Guerrilla Games or anything like that. That just doesn't exist on the PlayStation side. Matter of fact, I still got that clip, Puerto Rock, Felicia Day. Do you remember when she said how?
Oh yeah, she has Xboxes in storage.
She said she got in storage. So they placed it, like Xbox always give her free shit. She said she has
Sony doesn't give nothing.
She said Sony doesn't give her anything, so that's why she doesn't talk about PlayStation or anything like that. But that just shows you, like, you don't have to buy. If you make a great product, it's going to sell itself. You don't have to buy people out. And as much money that Microsoft has spent flying in, and no knock to them, right? I'm not hating the game, you know what I'm saying? But as much as Colt and them been flew out and giving dinners and giving free swag and free Xboxes and free Game Pass, all this shit, I never understood it. It hasn't paid off for Microsoft or for Xbox. So why would you keep doing this? Why are you spending all this money on all of these supposed influencers, but it hasn't sold you a single extra console? It's just not. It hadn't won you any MPD. It hadn't sold anybody on Game Pass. Why are you still doing it? You do better coming to Puerto Rock, coming to M, coming to me saying, hey guys, how can we get people to buy our Xbox consoles? We're out. We don't know what to do.
You just need to listen to our podcast. We've been saying
exactly. Just
make tires
on Tuesdays at 8:30 Eastern Time to 60 frame no lag, and we give you all the game. Look, 290 goddamn episodes of game. Just go back and we tell you what the key is right there. It is what it is.
Yeah. And I think with all that combined, that's what fed the energy of 2020, right? Microsoft going out there, doing all this stuff. And then the specs, people just straight up. And I would say this, and I would say it's probably a symptom of society changing. I'm noticing no one really asks why anymore. They either accept information or reject information, but nobody says, all right, hold on. What's the why or the methodology or the reasoning behind this? Like, where's the functional use or something? Somebody automatically accepts it or somebody automatically rejects it. And then that's it, right? So with that whole Xbox thing, right? Like CJ Grinnell, again, my favorite Xbox guy. Why would you put in the effort lying on something that's not true? Like, that's what I don't understand. Like, if you want to believe the Xbox Series X could potentially be possible, you could, I would get if people be like, man, based on the specs, this could be something very powerful. Man, I'm looking forward to seeing how this pans out. Totally get that. Absolutely, totally get that. But then to come out and say, hey, I talked to somebody and they saying that this shit is absolutely incredible, staggering. That never happened. And I don't understand why that happened. Like, why did he say that? Like, why is he going out there lying? He didn't talk to nobody. No developer went out there and told him that shit. None. And that's what I don't understand, right? Did they bank on the Xbox being so powerful because of paper spec that they say, you know what, let me say some bullshit on Twitter so that way I could gain some clout? Because that's the only thing I could think of. That they thought that this was so in the bag that they'll just make a bunch of lies, right? And then when, let's say if Xbox would have dominated, they look like as the person with the inside knowledge and the know. I think that's, to me, the only explanation of why they did all that. They just made up a bunch of lies and hopefully it will look true and that they will get props and credit. I was, oh man, that's CJ Grinnell. He knows people in the industry and he knew this was going to happen. That's the only thing I could think of. You know what I'm saying? And at that point, are you really a fan of gaming then? Because I don't think, in my opinion, if you're out there lying, chasing clout, then you don't really care about the hobby. Because why would you lie to your fellow gamers on some shit that's necessarily true? Because what if people listen to him, right? And they're like, oh, that's a former PlayStation dev. He worked on games PlayStation 2. And people be like, man, he has friends still? Then shit, then he might be right. I'm going to get me an Xbox. Because I want to play the best version of these games and shit. And, clearly, which is fucked up. But that's fucked up. Because now they're stuck with this dog shit. Right? I will be mad as fuck if I was one of these bots. If I would have bought that Series X, I will curse them the fuck out. And even if they block me, I will make a new account. I'd be like, you can't get rid of me, bitch. You can't. I'ma find you. I'll be mad as hell. I will be so pissed at being suckered. I will be mad. I'll be like, if I catch you at goddamn Summer Game Fest, it's going to be some furniture tossing in the Microsoft arena. Boy, don't let me see your ass at FanFest. Boy, I will go to FanFest just to find you, bro. I will be so goddamn mad if I got suckered into a product that just didn't deliver. And I'm like, you said you spoke to people. You're going to give me the names of the people you spoke to. I'll be like Liam Nielsen. I'm like Taken. I will find you. I got a particular set of skills. I'm going to find you. Give me the names. I want names. Boy, you're gonna get waterboarded. You're gonna be drowning all day.
You know what though? You know what though, Rock? My fault. You are J-Dub.
No, go ahead.
You know what though, Rock? As far as I'm concerned, it's anybody that got suckered into buying an Xbox for their primary system, that is totally on them. I don't feel bad, and the reason why I don't feel bad is because of the fact that this is 2024, 2001, 23 years. With the exception of the Xbox 360 generation, Xbox is doing it's deja vu. It's been deja vu for the past 23 years. There's nothing new that they had done. I mean, everything that you just described as far as, hey, exit this, I thought this. To me, it sounds like 17-year-old me believing what I was reading in Xbox magazine, not knowing that, hey, maybe I should not take this shit for the face value because Xbox magazine has a vested interest. I mean, fuck, it's in the name magazine. It's called Xbox Magazine, right? So my point is that anybody got suckered into buying an Xbox and thought that it was actually going to do well, it's all on them because there's a history. There is a long history of Xbox just doing, of just failing. I mean, as much as I like the original Xbox, and I really did like that system because that was an original system within itself, but. It's Xbox is just a failure. I mean, I don't know what more to say about it.
It's fire stick now. It's a failure. It failed. Yeah.
Here's another thing, guys. We all can't blame. It's not all just the gamers. It's not all just the gamers that did that. It's what's his name? Phil Spencer. It's Aaron Greenberg. It's all the management team that allowed that. They saw that stuff. They saw the Chris Grinnells. They saw the Dilla Gaymans and all of those guys over at RDX. They knew about this and they saw that. And they let all of this stuff overload what was going to happen. And then when it didn't happen, when all the stuff kind of backfired on them, they were scrambling, trying to, and it just kept going. And nobody ever corrected the stuff.
That shit was hilarious.
We can blame Digital Foundry because here's the thing. At the end of the day, whether it's right or wrong, Matt Booty, Aaron Greenberg, Phil Spencer, they're supposed to try whatever they can to sell their brand. If they decided to go through fanboys in order to do it, that's their marketing strategy, right? But Digital Foundry is supposed to be a third party, right? Like they're supposed to be the ones that are like unbiased. Or at least journalistic in their intent. So they position themselves as kind of like, yeah, you can trust us because we are not associated with these companies. Because if, I don't know, PlayStation Lifestyle did an analysis of like Horizon Forbidden West and told you everything is great, oh my god, it's so great, oh, the ray tracing, you'd be like, yeah, well, you might be right, but you're also PlayStation Lifestyle, If PlayStation Magazine was like, hey, you won't believe the specs, you're like, yeah, I can believe them, but I understand what you're trying to do because, again, you've got PlayStation in your name or you're affiliated with Sony, like when Sony recently puts out their little presentation, the little fluff piece, and they completely made up an interview with, what was his name? The guy that the people hate for no reason. The Last of Us guy, Neil Druckmann, right? Druckmann, when they completely made up his words and everything. Like, yeah, everybody was like, yeah, this shouldn't have happened. But everyone's kind of like, you're Sony PR. Like, we expect these slimy things from you, right? Slimy platform things. That's what Sony does. But the point is, because it came from Sony. But Digital Foundry, again, positions themselves as experts, which, by the way, they are not. They hardly ever know what they're talking about. Half of their stuff, they just literally copy from what they were told by the marketing of whatever developer or game and they are actually doing, and then they just regurgitate that in a slightly British accent, and then suddenly people feel like, oh wow, they must have really looked into this. But many times they've admitted
outside of zooming in 400% on the different video clips and pixel peeping and stuff like that. I mean, you're absolutely right. But think about it. They are PC fanboys. They fawn over PC. That's what they are. They're a PC centric. I wouldn't say public. However you want to define them, that's what they are. And then so you can see how they do comparisons. It's always a disappointment with consoles, but then
even when they talk about PC technologies, they talk about them on a surface level. They don't talk.
Yeah, they don't go deep. You're absolutely right.
They literally just regurgitate whatever PR they've been told. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, the ray tracing cores, in the new 4090s, have more capacity to ray trace because that's what Nvidia said they do." Like at the end of the day, they literally they read the marketing pamphlet. They find a way to say it again. They don't plagiarize fully. They go to ChatGPT and kind of get their own version of it, and then they just say with a British accent, and that's it. That's literally it. Half of the time, they don't even understand the technologies that they're actually reporting on. The fact that even in this article, they keep talking about how these variable clocks were supposed to have like a huge, disadvantage and everything because that's what we thought should happen. That's literally it. That's it. And then they're like, "Oh yeah, but we talked to some developers and we are being told that it actually doesn't." How curious. But did they actually go into the science of why? No. Did they approach Mark Cerny and be like, "Hey, actually, can you explain this variable clock to us as if we were children so that we can understand why it hasn't proven to be an issue?" No. They are not actual journalists. And what the judge was saying there, how they're doing yellow journalism, that is exactly what they are. Okay, which by the way, in case you guys are like, what is this yellow journalism, I had to look it up, right? But essentially it means that you are referring to sensationalistic, Jesus Christ, salacious and sometimes slanted stories and newspapers that present as objective truth. That is exactly what they are. I blame Digital Foundry. I absolutely do. And that's exactly what they're doing. So that's who I blame the most. And you know what? With Digital Foundry, throw in all of game media as well, because all of them, from the Jeff Grubbs to the people at IGN to everybody on every single website, all of them take it as gospel, right? They either take the marketing as gospel and believe it directly, all the way for Digital Foundry, who do nothing but regurgitate the marketing in a British accent, and then they take that as gospel. That is confirmation bias. It's basically like, you lie to me, and I know you're lying to me, but then I lie to you, agreeing with your lie, but now that I have agreed with your lie, you now start to believe in your own lie. That's literally all they're doing. It's literally just a circle jerk of lies and people pretending to be something that they are not. How many of them actually interviewed, and I mean really interviewed the actual, who is the person who made the Xbox? The guy with the long beard, and everything. Jason Ronald or Donald Ronald or whatever. Like, how many of them actually went to him and actually gave him a real interview like, "Hey, break down the technology and the deep dive, not just the marketing fluff, not just ALLM and DVR and Blu-ray and PSR, like, no, actually break down what it is doing in the box, how it is different from PC, what the advantages are." That's why PlayStation prefers to go to fucking GQ magazine than any of this gaming publication. Can we talk about that? Like, Jim Ryan had more interviews with like fashion brands than he did with actual gaming brands. That's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Good point. Hey, that's all right. That's all right. Good points. All right. So let's move on to the next topic, and real quick. So Forbes wrote an article. Apparently, after initial success, Helldivers 2 lost 90% of its players with no signs of recovery, and this is primarily the PC version. But apparently, there's a huge drop off. This is what the article says: there is always some annoyance when player count declines are brought up in the gaming space, but in this case it's a fairly significant story. We're not talking about Starfield losing 90% of its players since launch as a single player game. Rather, this is Helldivers 2, which was meant to be Sony's big proof of concept it can make a big impact in the live space. But a few months after launch, the game has seen extremely steep declines, and despite a new addition in galactic war plot turns, nothing's reversing its course. The simultaneous release of Helldivers 2 on PlayStation and PC helped make it a huge hit, especially on PC, where it hit 458,709 concurrent players 2 weeks after launch. But that was indeed the peak, and it has declined 90% in 4 months, down to 44,093 peak concurrent players. As such, it is routinely outside the top 10 list and is 58 in top sellers on the service. The most viewed Twitch stream of the game at the moment has 56 views and stuff. So here's the real question, right? Is a 90% drop off on the PC side, and we're not really sure what the drop off is on the PlayStation side. Is that something of a concern? I know that's impossible to really determine because it really comes down to reoccurring revenue. But we do have one piece of information. That's Sean Layden. The last time he was on the What's Up podcast, he did mention that these live service games are usually supported by up to 5% of the audience that's playing the game. So whatever the audience is playing the game, you're really making reoccurring money from about 5%. It's not the majority. So with a huge drop off of 90% of Helldivers, like how many people are actually left to try to make revenue off this game? Do you see that as a big concern? Is 90 drop off 90% a lot? Like more than expected? And if that's the case, do you think Sony's looking at it like, okay, what just happened? Or do you think Sony's finally seeing the challenge and difficulty of the live service game? I'll start with you, Extreme.
Yo, so like you said, first of all, this is Paul Tassi, right? Another fanboy for Badge. Okay.
Absolutely.
Listen,
They are everywhere. Yeah.
Listen, here's the thing. If this was supposed to be credible, he should have made the argument that this is somehow abnormal. We shouldn't have to go and look up these facts. Okay, so for example, what happened with Overwatch? Okay, what has happened with Valorant? What has happened with Team Fortress 2? Let us know what the landscape generally looks like. Or since those IPs are kind of older, right? I think all of them are more than like 5+ years old. Let us know what they usually do in the first year, because he said this is 4 months after launch. Because I'm sure a lot of them had substantial drop-offs, but then a new season comes out or there's a big update, people come back. Let us know the ebb and flow so that people can be educated as to how big an issue this actually appears to be. Now, here's the thing. I want it to be 100% off. 100%. Take it off PC. Matter of fact, you already locked it out of 177 countries. Stop selling it on PC. Okay? Why would I support the game on PC? Like, why would I support it being on PC? They get to play for free. They don't want to make an account. They want to act like quiet little baby bitches. I'm glad they're leaving. I'm glad. The less of them there are, the more I feel like supporting the game and buying it on PlayStation. And by the way, I don't care if whether Sony makes money or not. They've already made the money. This is the one smart thing that they did, is that they didn't make the game free to play. That is the one smart thing they did, because like you just said, yeah, only 5% of people were going to pay if it was going to be free to play anyway. So now they sold 12 million copies. Let's say that 7-8 million of those were on PC. Fantastic. You took your money, you went home. Like, honestly, what have they lost? What have they actually lost? They've lost nothing. Okay, so again, let's say they sold 8 million. Let's even say they sold 10 million copies of. You know how PC players are always pretending that they are like, oh, we are the only ones who bought this game. Cool. Let's say you sold 10 million copies on PC. $40 a pop. That's what, 400 million. Quick maths, right? You take your ball, you go home. You've made your money. Okay, the ice cream truck has sold out. So in any case, Sony hasn't lost any money. And you know what? Again, the less PC players are on this game, just knowing that makes me sleep better at night. I don't like these people. I don't. They're cheaters, they're scammers, they're awful people. They are a cry bitch ass fan base. I want less of them. The less of them there are, the better. That's it.
Okay. All right. What about you, J-Dub? What do you think? You think this is surprising? Is it?
No.
Do you think Sony's looking at this
it's
like, okay, wait a minute?
No, it's not surprising. And I don't think it should worry anybody. For the simple fact, the numbers he gave was from Steam. All right, which is like M said, it's the PC. We don't give a shit about the PC. We've always said with any live service game, they will go, they will play it, and then they will revert back to their Dotas, the World of Warcrafts, the Valorants, the CODs, and whatever the other games that they play on PC. That's just it is what it is. Now, here's the thing. Look at Pal World. They claim Pal World sold, what, 35 million copies or some shit like that? And that was just basically on PC. And it lost 90% of its people within it was like 3 or 4 days, right? It was literally less than a week. They lost that many. Nobody's crying about that. The mere fact that anytime you come out with new seasons, you reinvigorate the people to come out. You remember they said Destiny 2 was dead after the last DLC pack or whatever. It was dead. Then they came out with this very last one, and everybody started back playing it. It was this big, huge success, highly rated, everything else. This is normal. There's a reason he didn't give you context to this, because it was for clickbait. The fact, like M said, people went out and bought the game. That means the money is already there. They've made their money, what it took to develop the game. Now everything else is about maintaining it. So even if you have 10,000 people playing the game on PlayStation and PC, eventually when you come out with more DLC, guess what? You're going to get another 10, 20, 15% of those people to come back. If you release a big DLC or something like that, you'll get 75% of those people to come back. But only for a short period of time, right? This game was a success because it dropped, I believe, in February, the last week of February. And it stayed up on the top. It stayed on the NPD charts for months and months and months. Just because, it's not on that chart as in the top 10 or top 20 or whatever. Matter of fact, it is in the top 20. It's just not in the top 10. Just because that's not there, you got to understand it's a live service game. That means people have to continuously log into it, continuously play, continuously to spend money. This is normal. This shit happens with COD all the time. People bought COD when it first come out. They play it for about a week or two. The numbers drop. They go back to Warzone. That's where everybody are. Everybody's on Warzone. People are not still playing the Call of Duty multiplayer. That's the days of old. And all of this is just normal. And again, he didn't add context to it. He didn't compare it to other games out there. So that's why I say it's a nothing burger. I don't think it's, if you get into what do you call it? If you get into the live service counting type stuff, that's a whole different ballgame. That's a whole different spectrum, because you have to take out the single player element of it. It's not a single player game. It's not a free to play game, right? Because you can really dissect it and go, okay, compare it to Overwatch, compare it to some of the other things out there. Of course, you would expect a free to play game to have, because it's free. The point of entry is free. But the fact that over 15 million people went out and bought this game, no matter how much it costs, it can cost $10, but they bought the game. It was a $40 title. They bought it. They kept buying it over the course of 4 months, 3-4 months. It was a hit. And guess what? We have what's the new game? The new shooter that's coming out, Concord coming out. It's going to be the exact same thing. People are going to go out and buy it. The numbers are going to be high. After about a month or two, the numbers are going to go down. They're going to have to continuously add the content to keep people coming back. This is the normal world of live service games. So his article is clickbait. And
Jendo, can I just say, since we have to do work ourselves, right? Since we have to do journalism at home, I just looked at Destiny 2, right? When it first came out around the 30th of September 2019, about 292,000 players, okay? When it was 4 months later, at about January, okay, 80,000. It's about a drop off of 70%, roughly, give or take. So again, it's like these are the contexts that we need to know to be able to gauge how bad is this. So we can see that a massive drop-off is fairly normal. That's fairly common, right? Now, you could say 90 is way more than 70. Absolutely. And I would agree. And that's a point that he should have made in his particular thing. Because if everybody else is dropping off, let's say, consistently between 65 to 75%, but these guys are dropping 90%, then yeah, it is a deviation from the norm. But we don't know that because you don't fucking do any research. You don't present any journalistic integrity. You're just doing it for clicks. So it's like, yeah, with that context, it's really hard to understand.
the fact that he didn't add in PlayStation numbers, he only added in 50% of the equation.
I mean, he can't see
Right?
PlayStation numbers, and he's not going to go and ask PlayStation. That's what the journalists will do. Like, are you kidding?
Well, and that proves my point, right? That proves my point. So he's not only giving a piece of the information, but he's giving us 50% of that, because I think they reported like 50%, 50 or 60%, something like that was on PC, and the rest was on PlayStation. So even if you take into that account, that's just on the PC. Well, how many people still playing on the PlayStation side?
And I mean, the thing is, I expect a full drop off on. I expect it to be mirrored on PlayStation. Actually, I do think that PlayStation gamers will also have, had a similar trajectory. Maybe the numbers are a little bit different, but I don't expect like a 90% drop off on PC and only a 40% drop off on PlayStation. I expect it to be fairly similar, because again, let's face it, this is a very also Helldivers 2 is a very traditional multiplayer feeling game. As in, yes, they have the season passes and the battle passes and everything, but they don't push it as hard as like a Fortnite does, or like some of the other free-to-play games do. So I think they kind of treat it a little bit more like Final Fantasy 14, which is the people from Final Fantasy 14 told you like, hey, when we put out a content pack, we want you to finish it and leave the game. Then when we bring the next one, you come back. Like, they literally, they're like, we are okay with not keeping you here every single day. Exactly. And I feel like Helldivers 3 has a very similar philosophy. They are okay with the drop-off because they know that next time they do the next major update, you're going to come back and you're going to want to partake in it. And then a few weeks later, you're going to go back, like Protocol always says, you're going to go back to wifey. Okay? Like, the strip club doesn't expect you to come in every single week. They would like you to be there as much as you can, but for 90% of the patrons, they know you're not going to be here. Yeah, they know you're going to leave. They know you're not going to be here. You're only going to be here once in a while, So, and again, it's like, had he done that, had he been like, hey, there are different philosophies here. Certain multiplayer live service games, like GT Online, they want you there every day, man. This is work for you. You clock in, you clock out, and you pay them the money to do so. Others are more like Final Fantasy 14. You come in, you have a good time, and then eventually you go away. You give them your blessings, and they go. But yeah, none of that is coming because again, we cannot expect real journalism from a fanboy with a badge. That's unfortunately where we are.
So I like where you were going with that. Let me say something. I like why he was going with that. What Paul Tassi should have done as a true journalist, and if he wants to really educate, he should have done research at least with like 3 or 4 or 5 live service games when they launch, and then see historically after 4 months where they fall at. And if he would have made the point historically using the following samples of Destiny 2, whatever live service games are out there, Rainbow Six Siege, blah 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 blah. Historically, when something comes up, they usually hover around the 400,000 player range. Then after 4 months, they drop to 80, 90, which is anywhere between, let's say 65 to 75% drop off. But with Helldivers, the drop off is 90% after researching with numbers provided by PlayStation and looking at Steam, which is a very out of stark number compared to the norm. That would have been like, you know what? That's why I said in the beginning, is 90% too much? I don't know because we don't have the like I probably could do research on my own and then I could make the determination like, hey, on average, you got about a 72% drop off. So a game dropping off at 90% is not really good. And then I would probably be like, all right, is there other games that drop off at 90%? Now, if you would have said, here are some of the following games that had a similar drop off, Anthem, Suicide Squad, Avengers. Now would be like, shit. Now would be like, yo, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if he would have done that, a comparative analysis, but this is what I said like before. Nobody asks the why anymore. They only want to address, they only want to accept the information or deny it. In this case, he saw 90% drop off. He just wants to accept it. Yep, 90% is bad, but he doesn't want to explain. He doesn't want to get into the how or the why, because that's what I would have done. I'm like, wait a minute, it's a 90% drop off. Sure, it sounds bad, But if it's normal, then it's not bad. If it's out of the, the box like you mentioned, okay. But so you know what? Let me do some journalistic research and find out. Hey, these are the games that normally drop, out of the 90 percentile. And if you would have mentioned Avengers, Suicide Squad, Anthem, like all these games that clearly fell, now we would be like, oh shit. I mean, like the data's there, like the supporting data is there, but nobody wants to support or cite their source or support with data. They just want to go with what they feel because, like you said, it's primarily click based and stuff like that. And the funny part is, I understand click gets to stuff, of course, obviously, right? But I think when you have backing from a magazine like Forbes, right, or if you're a Digital Foundry, Eurogamer, I think you should recognize that you're in the position where people don't want the fanboy. They because there's plenty of us that do it, and we do it actually better. Like the fanboy channels, we got the fanboy shit. Leave that shit to us. We got that shit. But you do what you want because you're expected to do so, and everybody can respect that. And I don't think they figured that shit out. Like, we want the honest information from you. Do the research. If the 90% drop off is bad, put in the work. Explain why. Give us the how. Yeah. And that way you could show us, so that way we all could look at it and be like, yeah, you know what? We can't argue with that. That shit, exactly. That might be, you know what? He brings up a good point, right? But, And
the thing that's annoying is that it's not actually hard to do. Like, I'm literally doing it live now. You take a look at Halo Infinite, yeah? Again, 4 months. They had a peak 1 week after launch on the 16th of November.
Yeah.
Then on the 14th of February, they had basically seen a 95% drop off. Okay?
So, now, again, you know what? If, like Extreme, if he goes, oh yeah, it's bad. Why is it bad? Because a game that had a similar drop off was Halo Infinite. Now you and I would be like, yo, that's bad. Like, you can't argue with that. We would be like, yo, that's bad. You might be right. You made a comparative assessment. You gave a list of games that like have 90 drop off, and you'll be like Halo Infinite, Anthem, Marvel's Avengers from Square Enix. Now we're like, you know,
shit.
but then hell, even you and I would be like, oh shit. Like, you can't argue with that. Like, okay. And
like,
then,
it's not about making Helldivers look good. It's about serving your audience and actually providing context. Like, again, I'm like, if Helldivers 3 dies, so what? Like, Sony made the money. They can go and take that money to make Helldivers 3. I am not worried at all about what is going to happen with it. Okay? I'm not trying to defend it. But the point is this. You've got to provide context. You've got to do the full, kind of report. Mm-hmm. It's a bit like, you guys remember when you were doing English presentations at school? They will ask you, okay, what is like, in Australia, what do they use TEAL? What's your topic sentence? What's your evidence? What's your example? And then what is your linking sentence or whatever. Yeah. But the point is, you need to provide those things so that we can fully understand. Like, it's just basic high school presentation.
It's not like that no more. It's like, do you feel this is right? Yes, then it's right. Preach your own truth. All right? All right. Okay. Let me move on to another topic. So, Assassin's Creed. I'm going to put this on the screen. But apparently...
Petition?
Oh, yeah. Japanese petition, right? It says right here. A Japanese petition to cancel Assassin's Creed Shadows get 30,000 signatures. But look at the guys petitioning. Look at this. Look at this guy.
No.
Look at it. No. All right. All right. Look at this. Look at this.
Konnichiwa, Ubisoft. Watashi wa gamer. Remove black people from your video game. DEI. Remove the woke. Ubisoft. Remove it.
Why is he talking like he's in a kung fu flick? What is wrong with that dude? Like, yo, even Japanese people are like, yo, we don't fucking talk like that. This dude's talking like he's in a 1950 samurai movie. You hear his shit? That shit is like, what the fuck? Bro, like, listen to this shit again.
Konnichiwa, Ubisoft. Watashi wa gamer. Remove black people from your video game. DEI. Remove the woke. Ubisoft. Remove it. Arigato gozaimasu.
What the fuck? Yo, what the fuck just happened? Like, what did we just see? Why is he talking like that? Like, he talking like he's like Imperial Japan. He's acting like the goddamn samurai in the fucking game. Like, what did we just chat? What did we just watch? Arigato gozaimasu. You, Ubisoft, you take it down now, or we invade your empire. Like, what? The fuck are you talking about, bro? Like, yo, this shit is crazy. Yo, these anti-woke dudes is nuts, bro. They are not. Yo, I first thought, like, listen, I remember I was talking shit like, oh, these guys never show their faces. They're cowards. Now they're showing their faces. Now I wish they didn't. Like, you know what? Go back to hiding, bro. Because this shit's embarrassing. Yo, and I'm like, bro, you're white. What are you doing? Like, you're not Japanese, bro. Like, what is wrong with you? Why are you talking like that? Yo, this shit is crazy. How is it a Japanese, change.org, and it's mostly these anti-woke dudes from America and whatever, from the West side for this shit? Like, bro, I can't, bro. This shit's like, this society's cooked, bro. Like, I understand council war, but you out here signing petitions for a game not to be made? I got a crazy idea. You want to hear my crazy idea, Em? This shit's crazy.
No,
it's new. It's out about like this is innovative thinking. So this might be hard to explain to everybody, but we're gonna try this. This is out of box. Like, I might have to patent this idea. Ready? Here we go. You ready? Just don't buy the game. Oh shit. I patent that shit. I'm patenting that. Let me explain. I'll explain to you because I'm about to do it. All right. You know how you go into a store, right? You're gonna see the game. You're gonna see the game in the store.
No. Hold on. You're going too far. Hold on. So right. I'm walking to the store.
You walk into the store,
and I'm in the store now.
Or you could be on the PlayStation store. Either or.
Why?
Because there's that too.
Both virtually and physically works.
You're gonna see the game. You're gonna see it. You both work. It works. It's universal. You're gonna see the game with your eyes.
Right.
And then this is what you do.
I buy it.
No. You don't do that. What you do is you stop looking at it and walk away. Or scroll away.
Ignore
it.
I'm angry about the game.
No, ignore it. No, buy another game. Buy another game. No, yes, that's what you do. Yes.
And then I make a petition online about it.
No, you won't buy it. You just ignore it. Pretend it's not there.
What?
And you'll be fine. I promise you.
So I treat it like an indie game?
That's it. Treat it like Xbox. Poof. Not there. Just like that. When you look at the game, look at it like an Xbox console. Poof. It will just go away. But I still get
to make a petition about it, right?
Okay. No. You just ignore that too. You know what you do instead of doing a petition? This is what you do. Instead of another petition, guess is what you do.
Right.
Play another game.
But hold on.
It's crazy.
Hold on.
It's crazy. I know it's wild.
Wait,
but
hold on.
I promise you.
What if I'm racist?
What?
What if I'm racist?
This is what you do. Play Call of Duty. You could get to say the N-word online.
But I want
you got problems. You got problems. You got problems. Oh, make a Twitter account. Make a Twitter account. Make a Twitter account on X. Apparently, you can do that now too, and you won't get in trouble.
If I make a Twitter account like that, can I call myself Grumps and then say it's DEI?
Yes. Oh, this shit is wild. I can't. Oh my god. These dudes said the game will not exist. Oh my god, this shit is wild, bro. Like, yo, we play games where a goddamn Italian plumber is fucking fighting reptiles that breathe fire, bro. Like, come on, like gaming. No one's going to college over this shit. This is not a particular lesson that you're gonna get credit, in Japanese imperial studies. I mean, it's still a fucking game, bro. Like, come on, bro. Like, this shit's incredible. Like, I don't get it. Like, they're doing too much. Like, think of all the insane stuff we played in video games in terms of characters and stuff like that. I think, look at Baldur's Gate. They got demons. They got demons with penises humping bears and shit. Like it's just weird. There's just a lot of weird stuff.
Crazy thing. Yeah, I'm gonna say my own crazy thing. White people, can we have a heart-to-heart? Just white people, just whiteness. Anybody who has a lack of melanin, all of our melanin, just the ones that have a little bit of melanin, you have a deficiency in melanin. Can we just come closer? Let's have a talk, huh? You guys used to have the best PR as a race. You had, as a race, the most fantastic. You made Jesus white, but your PR went from Apple PR and marketing to like Microsoft. I mean, your race, you guys are just not looking right out here. Between your presidents, I mean, are we just gonna? You're just gonna let that one go, right?
I can't argue with the president. Yeah, you know what? Skip. I'm here to skip. Skip.
We're just gonna skip. And I don't just mean the American ones. Skip. Again, I'm talking to all of you as a race. Between your presidents, my goodness, you guys just invaded Ukraine. Like, you're not attacking one. That's crazy. That's crazy. Like, that is like Roman era. Like, you guys as a marketing group, I'm sorry, man. Listen, man, y'all are crazy. And Americans, oh my goodness, you guys are hastening the decline of the white race PR. Okay, not the race itself. Relax. Okay, this isn't some kind of racial theory. I'm just saying that as your marketing firm, you guys were great. Americans, especially, you guys were like freedom and justice and democracy. Nowadays, it's not looking so hot. It is not looking good. And now, games. Like, this is the level you have stooped to. You are now like, hey, let's tell another nation how they should feel about the game, about their own history.
So this is,
the worst part, no, let me finish. The worst part is that you have Yves Guillemot acting like he's not racist. That's crazy. You have out racist a French white guy. A rich French white guy. Are you kidding? Do you know how racist the French are? Like,
I have no idea.
Let me put it this way. Most white Americans that are racist haven't actually been around black people. Most French that are racist are surrounded by black people. And they still get their asses.
Oh, shit. That's just crazy.
So for you guys to convince the CEO of freaking Ubisoft of all companies to be less racist than you, are you fucking kidding?
The thing is, why is this animosity over a game? It's a game. Game is gonna have fantastic exaggerations. It always has.
It's not over the game. It's over the race. We're not gonna pretend this is about the game.
I agree. Mechanics. But why would you put your energy onto something that's so obvious and stupid? Like, bro, this is where you're gonna open yourself out to the public and try to say, well, I'm not racist. It's just I want historical accuracy. Motherfucker, it's a game. This is not a college course. You want historical accuracy? It's called college.
As a black person that has been to France, do you know what you have to do to be less racist than a French person? You have no fucking idea. Do you guys know that the French are still charging African countries because they left? They charge us fines for not colonizing us anymore. Do you know that's a thing that's going on right now?
What?
And this is the people you're less racist than?
What?
You just don't even know.
Explain that.
Let me put it this way. Your part of work. I come from Cameroon, yeah?
I gotta look at that.
The French colonized us, yeah? To get our independence, do you know we had to pay them money?
I'm sorry for laughing.
Do you know we had to pay for our freedom? And you know that every year there is a tariff placed on our goods and products sold so that they stay out of our country and they don't recolonize us. That's the agreement. Do you not know that? For most countries in Africa, they still have to pay for the freedom. And these are the people you're less racist. Are you fucking kidding me? So when I tell you that should be less, oh my goodness, to make a rich French person
That's
less racist
crazy.
than you, to make a rich French person less racist than you have to be fucking out of your mind.
That's crazy.
Are you joking?
That's crazy. Be like, yo, can you leave my country now? You gotta pay us.
No,
like,
no,
what? What?
You know what the official fines were called? They were like, oh, payment for the losses that we will incur for not colonizing you anymore. Like, they literally were like...
Like, listen, I'm suffering here. I invested lots of money in my boats and cannons.
Yeah.
I need reparations.
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
Yo, I gotta look that up. I gotta look that up. That's insane.
And be like, nah, listen.
The French said we need reparations for what we're about to lose leaving you guys. Like, okay, I guess. Oh, that's wow. That is some wild shit. I learned something new today. Now I'm gonna look that up. I'm gonna start researching that because that shit is a wild ass concept. That shit just wow. That shit blows my mind.
No. We can put it on screen right now. Don't worry. I will send you a fucking DM right now. Like, people think, like, people don't know what goes on in the world. Listen, Americans, I like it, but you guys really don't look at what happens in anywhere else in the globe, bro.
I'll be honest. You know what? No. That's true. They're only concerned about America. A lot of people. Yeah,
I sent you a DM to your personal DM.
So I'm gonna show you one more comment in the petition. So this is Kenneth. As a U.S. Maruani, I don't know what the hell that is. I know what a U.S. Marine is. I don't know what a Maruani is. Who was stationed in Okinawa. And as a customer of Ubisoft who has purchased every Assassin's Creed game so far, I am deeply offended by this proposed game. I will not be purchasing it, and I call on Ubisoft to respect the history and tradition of Japan as well as the gaming community and the precedent set forth by the rest of the games in this series. So number one, Marines, we definitely not going to misspell our name. We're not U.S. Maruanis, right? That's number one. Number two, most of the Marines, especially if you're single and you're deployed to Okinawa, you're most likely drunk in the barracks to even give a fuck. You're on that sake all the time. Marines in Okinawa, they're wilding out, getting drunk, trying to find a Japanese wife. They don't give a fuck about this. I'm telling you right now, because I'm a Marine that I was stationed in Okinawa, and boy, some of the biggest risks was my Marines. Like, all right, guys, every Friday, I like telling these guys, I'm giving a safety brief. Respect the culture. Don't add to the population. Don't take away from the population. You understand what I'm saying? Wrap it. Don't drink and drive, all that stuff, because they'll be like, got it. And boom, they're out ready to party. They're not arguing over this shit. Not at all. They're out there partying up, getting drunk. I promise you. Hell, half of them is probably playing Call of Duty if they are playing the video game. Like, I promise you, they could give two fucks about any of this shit. They're out there, overseas, single, lots of sake. Lots of it. And they're drinking it all up. All of it. Half the sake, growth is from U.S. Marines. All right. The GDP growth for Japan, like 30% of it is Marines drinking and eating and stuff like that. I promise you. Ain't no goddamn Marine going to do a goddamn petition, because we don't even like doing our own surveys for work. That shit annoys us.
You guys don't even like to vote.
No, not even. They don't. We just want to shoot. We just want to shoot guns and drink beer and have sex. That's it. That's all. That's it. Yo, that shit. Anyone? That shit's absolutely insane. That when I saw that, I'm like, you are out your mind. Like, the lengths that these guys are going through. The game's not getting canceled. Yo, have you ever seen that change.org ever work? I don't think I ever seen that thing work. Granted, I only see it through gaming, but at least in gaming, I have not seen it work in gaming. In gaming, at least. In gaming, because they do change.org for the stupidest shit. Put Spider-Man on Xbox. That's not going to happen, bro. A change.org is not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen it work in gaming. I do remember one time, I don't remember what it was for though, but it was a few years ago, and it actually did do something. I think it was in African nations or something, where it like actually galvanized support and movement for people. But yeah, no, certainly not in gaming, not that I can remember.
I can't think of it.
Yeah. I can't think. By the way, I sent you that DM. Put it on screen for people because people cannot believe what is still happening around the world.
I would say shout out to SNK with the super chat. He said, PR77, your accent was perfect, like my samurai accent. I should be on that show. What is it, The Last Shogun?
I don't know what show you're talking about.
Oh, so it's on Fox. It's on FX.
Okay. I don't. American brands. I don't
you don't have that? VPN that shit.
I'm sure we get it through another partner like Disney.
Probably, yeah, Disney or something.
7,
right?
I don't know. They usually do something.
All right, guys, let's get a little history lesson. Former French colonies are still paying a colonial tax.
It's not history, by the way. That's 2023.
All right. Wow. This is not like an article from 30 years. Yeah, August 2023. No. Wow, this says 14 former French colonies in Africa pay a colonial tax amounting to about 500 billion. These countries are Benin, is that how you pronounce it? Benin?
Yeah.
Burkina
Faso.
Burkina Faso. There you go.
Yeah,
Guinea.
The Ivory Coast, that's the one.
Mali, Niger, Senegal, Togo, Cameroon, Central African Republic, Chad, Congo, Equatorial Guinea. Hey, isn't Equatorial Guinea, they speak Spanish?
I have no idea. Actually.
That spot. They actually speak Spanish. So it's just something I learned on TikTok, right? It was just an influencer that's really into the Spanish dialect and language, right? So I follow her, and she says, did you know there's an actual African country that's actually like, so she asked, so name all the countries around the world that, can you name all the countries around the world that speak Spanish as a national language? And he goes, most people think that the only ones are either in the Western Hemisphere, and if you go in the eastern side, it's Spain, right? But she says there is one country. She pointed it out in Africa, zoomed in, and then she showed videos of the people, and they are speaking Spanish, like straight up. I was like, holy shit! I was like, Spanish, like straight up, normal, all throughout that, and I was like, holy cow! I want to visit there because I'll feel right at home.
Find your people.
There you go, my people. Yes, yes.
Actually, they're just beneath my country, so yeah, I should have known.
Equatorial Guinea, right? And says these countries have a combined population of 174 million and a nominal total GDP of 196 billion, with a purchasing power parity GDP of 411 billion. France has halted its colonization policy, but its economic colonization of these African states persists. A portion of the colony's budget continues to flow to French central bank under various names and categories. This process allows France to appropriate about 85% of the former colony's annual income. As a result, African countries face financial difficulties and have to borrow back their own money from the French central bank as debts. To reclaim their funds, African countries are limited to applying for no more than 20% of the transferred amount. If they seek a larger sum, it can be vetoed. France argues that it is the money it spent on buildings and infrastructure constructed more than a century ago. Any refusal by African rulers to pay colonial tax often leads to a coup. Oh my God, since the coup in Niger took place, many Western African nations started to voice their concern regarding uranium and other resources imported from Niger, airspace closure, and elongated flight time to and from some countries in different parts of Africa, threat of a second Great War in Africa, and deterioration of the situation regarding terrorism. This is insane. Oh my God, I gotta thank you for presenting this. There you go. That is crazy.
So when I'm telling you that me seeing a French CEO be less racist than a bunch of, I guess younger Americans, I'm like, y'all don't even know the mindfuckery you just put my mind through. Like, you guys.
This is like, wow, America's bad. You're like, wow.
How can you out-racist them? Like, people always think of the French in like romantic ways, and I'm like, they're not romantic at all. They are not. And if you guys think that you're racist, you guys are racist. Let's just, Americans are racist. Let's just put that on the table. But the French, they could give you education.
Oh shit! All right. Okay. Wow.
So there we go.
So anyway, so let's go. I want to go to the last topic. So Colin Moriarty, I'm gonna put it on the screen. He's talking about PlayStation exclusives and how people are missing a point. But it says right here on his Twitter, where are the PS5 exclusives? People insincerely ask, as Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, Helldivers 2, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, Rise of Ronin, and Stellar Blade launch within a 4-month period. Maybe stop crying and see the forest for the trees. That's a good place to start. So let me play this out.
Who needs sorting out this week from you?
PlayStation,
it was a long
PlayStation
list,
fans
probably.
need sorting out this week.
Oh, shit. Let's hear it.
Hey, babies. I want you to listen carefully, okay?
Yes.
Because I can't take it anymore. Where are the games?
Dude,
Where are the games? Oh.
I'm drowning in games, guys.
Do you like video games? Have you paid any attention to the games that have come to PlayStation 5 this year? Listen, I don't want to be disingenuous. I understand what a lot of people are saying when they say we want more first-party games. We all would like more first-party games. I want them to be of a high quality. I'd rather have fewer of them and much more high quality consistently, which I think Sony has achieved since maybe the middle of the PS4 era. But a mono focus on first-party content is really ignoring the forest for the trees. If you are involved with any non-Nintendo hardware for exclusives only, then you are in the wrong place. You should go buy a Switch and immerse yourself in the first-party content there that the hardware will live and die by. But the absolute reality of PlayStation and Xbox and PC is that the exclusives are nice, but they don't ultimately really matter if you like a wide breadth of games. And while we would like those exclusives to come at a greater cadence, even if the exclusives are what's important to you, why does it matter where the game comes from if it's good? Why does it matter if it's locked to a console if it's good or fun? Here are the games I've played this year on PlayStation 5. Prince of Persia: The Lost that have come out this year. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, which I beat and platinumed. Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, which I beat. Lords of Exile, which I haven't beat, but that's not really a relevant game. Banisher's Ghost of New Eden, that came out this year, and I didn't beat it, but it was really good. I liked it. Just was getting a little long in the tooth. Helldivers 2 came to PS5 and PC. Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, beat that. Stellar Blade, beat that. Animal Well, platinumed and beat that. And then all the way up to Crow Country, which I just platinumed, and we'll get to that later.
Mm-hmm.
I play games as a course of my life because it's what I do for a living. And I play way more than most people, including most people listening to this. It's not an insult. It's a reflection of the reality of our situations. I am truly tired of hearing about how there's nothing to play and there are no games on PlayStation. You must not like video games.
Mm-hmm.
You must not understand the idea that you can actually buy older things that you may have missed. You haven't played everything. No doubt about it. The more time goes on, every day that goes on, that becomes magnified. And by the time we get 50 years into the future, there's going to be so much shit that you have never played. I'm not saying we're there now, but it's so interesting to think that we're piling these things up. Imagine where we are now in the timeline. This hand-wringing over PlayStation 5's lack of games is completely divorced from reality. And it needs to be called out. If all you care about are exclusives, then here's what you have gotten so far this year. Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, Helldivers 2, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, Stellar Blade, and Rise of the Ronin, which I played briefly. It's not on my trophy list.
Mm-hmm.
Can you name an era where more and better games came out in PlayStation? I'd like to hear about that 6-month run in PlayStation's history where those kinds of games all came to the console exclusively, if that's what's important to you, which apparently it is. Name the era. I've been with PlayStation since the beginning, so you can name it and I can recall it very quickly. This is amongst the strongest runs of games in the history of the console, actually. And the only reason people don't give a shit in some of the parts of the core is because it doesn't come from Sony Studios.
Right.
And I just think that I've said for many years now, and people know, it's like, I like my PlayStation first-party games a lot. Some of them are my favorite games of all time. But I'm not here just for PlayStation games. That can't possibly be true. There aren't enough of them. There weren't enough of them in the most voluminous era of, well, PS1, Sony was publishing everything, but they weren't really making very much of it. PS2, they weren't making very much of it, publishing a little bit. By the time you got to PS3, where there was parity and there were studios starting to make things, let's say 2011, 2012, 2013, pretty busy time for PlayStation first-party games, pretty comparable to where we are now. It's just completely divorced from reality. Helldivers 2 has probably sold something like 15 million copies at this point. Grand Blue Fantasy Relink was very, very well liked when it went by people. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is masterful. Stellar Blade is excellent. People love Rise of the Ronin. What is wrong with you guys? It's almost like you nothing pleases you and you just want to complain, and then you get mad at people like me when we don't complain because it doesn't reflect the honest feeling inside of us. I've been very busy.
Yeah.
And quite satisfied. So it's not in running defense for Sony, because obviously they've greenlit games they shouldn't have, and things are behind, and they've probably followed some cues that they maybe shouldn't have gone too deep into games as a service. Obviously, The Last of Us Online was nixed. Twisted Metal was nixed. They're turning a very big ship, and those mistakes should be criticized and could be a part of why there's new leadership at the top of PlayStation now. But to pretend that there's nothing to play on PlayStation 5 is idiotic. And I read about it every day, and I just don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So, you know what? Sort it out. Sort it out.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you, Colin, 100%. And it's like, you're getting Concord in like in a month or two, whether you're excited for that game or not.
And then Astrobot.
And Astrobot.
Then you're going to get Silent Hill.
Awesome. Yeah.
And it's like, what
so
are
much
you
shit.
talking about? Thank you for letting me know.
Colin, I'm going to name some stuff that I have beaten actually this year that are only on PlayStation and not on PC either. Rebirth, The Rising Tides, the Final Fantasy DLC, which is great. Stellar Blade, and I beat Castlevania Rondo of Blood and Symphony of the Night. Those are only on PlayStation.
Yeah,
you can't
Sony
even get
published
those
that.
on PC. So it's like, there's a lot of shit to play on PlayStation. Like, if you only want first-party stuff right now, which I totally understand, like you said also, it's like, people want to know. They want to know what's coming out, because Sony's very quiet, but it's like, man, there's a fuck ton of games.
Yeah, it's like,
I'm drowning in games.
Again, if it's just exclusives you care about, then there's none of those are good for you. Relink's not good for you. Helldivers isn't good for you. Rise of the Ronin isn't good for you. Stellar Blade's not good for you. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth's not good for you. So none of that.
Yeah,
That's your problem at that point.
Yeah.
It's what I was saying about PlayStation Plus recently, where the games this month are like Borderlands 3, which I bought back in 2019, so it's not for me. NHL 24, which is going to be replaced very soon in October by NHL 25, and then Among Us, which is a cheaper game. And people are like, "Oh, this list sucks," and I'm like, "For you, maybe." And I understand.
Is a big game,
right? I was like,
huge.
I'm like, Borderlands is great. Among Us is a famous game. I know it's cheap, but they're giving it to you and trying to kind of, grease the skids for the sequel or whatever the update that's coming out for it. And then NHL is 16 million people just watched the NHL Finals Game 7 in the United States. So enormous. That's more than anyone has watched any NBA final or NHL game in years.
Yeah.
So I just think people are too focused myopically, even if somehow, like Neo in the Matrix, you are dodging every bullet coming at you, and one of the bullets is Grand Blue Fantasy, and one of them is Helldivers, and none of them are for you. Then what about all of the third-party stuff? It's just, this is a very strong year. I would argue that this year is, for me, and I wouldn't argue this overall because I know how people feel about the games last year. This is a stronger year than last year for me. I mean,
sure, yeah, I can see that.
A lot of things last year, like Baldur's Gate stuff, I'm like, I don't want to play this stuff. But I appreciate that people liked it. So there's a level of deep myopia that is concerning about this. And I don't really get why you're even in the game space at all if there's nothing there for you. It just seems like it would be impossible for that to be true.
So, comment I made under there, I beat Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. I played Helldivers a bit. Beat Stellar Blade, which I did recently. I'm gonna start Rise of Ronin this weekend, and then after I finish Rise of Ronin, I did put Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, but now he just reminded me of the DLC for Final Fantasy 16, and I haven't played. I have both, so now I gotta readjust. I'm gonna play that first. Yeah. I'm gonna play both DLC, then I'm gonna get into Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, right?
Yeah.
It's true. He says, like, listen, you guys know I'm all about holding PlayStation to the shows and the roadmap because that's what I'm used to. But I am not gonna say that there's no games to play. Like, it is impossible for a PlayStation gamer who always played on PlayStation, and I'm addressing that crowd, right? And the reason why is, right, if we have PlayStation gamers that don't count Stellar Blade or Grand Blue Fantasy and stuff like that, right? Rise of Ronin. Then I'm like, then what were you doing when you first started playing your PlayStation? Because there were games like Tenchu and stuff like that, right? Devil May Cry, when it first came out, was a new thing and stuff like that. So you had to expand your horizons and play other titles, especially from third party. In fact, one of the best years of PlayStation, like that would be comparable to this, or I would even say better than this, was 2001 for the PlayStation 2. Because that year you had Grand Theft Auto 3, you have Final Fantasy Final Fantasy 10, you have Metal Gear Solid 2, and you have a Devil May Cry. Those are all third party. And that was one of the best years in gaming. And I think and Silent Hill 2 also came out that year. So Silent Hill 2, Final Fantasy 10, Metal Gear Solid 2, Devil May Cry, and then the biggest out of all the games, Grand Theft Auto 3. That shit, people were buying PlayStation for the boatloads to play those games. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't understand this new generation. Like, I can understand the criticism that you want more PlayStation, or PlayStation should have done a better job of being a first party, to which I think for the first 3 years they did. Because you're not going to tell me PlayStation 4 from a first party perspective it was better than PlayStation 5. Not even close. PlayStation barely did anything. It wasn't really until Uncharted 4, which came out 2016. Right? Because Bloodborne wouldn't even count, because technically that's a second party game made by From Software. So you couldn't even use Bloodborne, which came out in 2015. So before Uncharted 4, all you really had was Infamous, Killzone, Dry Club. I don't know what the fuck else. I can't think of anything else other than the baseball games, obviously. But that's all I can think. So from 2013 launch up until Uncharted released, Killzone, Knack, Infamous, and Dry Club. Are you kidding me? What? And I like Infamous, right? But you can't put it as a big pillar, system seller, especially when you're surrounded by Dry Club, Killzone, and Knack. That's absolutely insane. Bloodborne was the best thing out, and that was a From Software game and stuff like that. So that's what I understand with this PlayStation generation. Like, if you are on the PlayStation, you are a PlayStation dude, and you have not played Stellar Blade, you have not played Rise of Ronin, you definitely not playing Final Fantasy? Like, what? You not playing Final Fantasy? Really? Okay. Then I don't know. They cannot tell me they're PlayStation fans because of Ghost of Tsushima. That's a new thing. Like, some of these games, like PlayStation first party really blew up in the PS4 era. That's when it really, really blew up. That was when it really became. I would say, I would say Naughty Dog was really by themselves in the PS3 gen, because of Uncharted and The Last of Us. And then everybody caught up to Naughty Dog in the PS4 era. Exactly. But this whole notion, like, it's always been about a first party. I go, okay, so what first party were you playing on PS2? Now they're just making up shit, because they look on the internet, I was playing Ico. Yeah, that game only sold 1 million, right? So I don't believe.
We're gonna have to shut this down before I start.
So I'd be like, I don't believe you. I don't believe y'all played Ico. I don't believe y'all, because Ico didn't sell 10 million. Majority of people didn't play Ico. Now everybody played Ico. They bought a PS2 for Ico. How? 1 million copies. Are you kidding me?
Let me just say that there's many PlayStation podcasts I can't bear to listen to anymore, because this is exactly the philosophy, right? This disingenuous take that somehow we've all been fed, these PlayStation first party games. Like, my favorite games on the PS3, I don't think aside from The Last of Us, I don't think any of the other ones are from first party. When I think about Bad Company 2 or whatever, my PS3 was a third party machine. Like, those are the games I enjoy playing. But anyways, doesn't matter about me. Let's talk about the topic. He is 100% right. So in one podcast, you have me saying that Yves Guillemot is less racist than Americans, and then in the same podcast you have me saying that I fully agree with Colin Moriarty. That is crazy. That is crazy. This has been a whole. Now he makes me want to listen to what is it, Last Stand Media or whatever.
Oh, Last Stand, yeah.
Can you believe this?
Sacred Symbols.
Exactly. Look, now you're gonna make me interested.
He's pretty good. He's actually pretty good. If you,
the thing is, I like his integrity. I will always say that I like his integrity. I dislike half of his takes, but obviously when you have integrity and you're right, it's hard to disagree with. Like, because either way, even when the person thinks you're wrong, they can't deny your integrity. So when you're right and you have integrity, bruh, what are we supposed to do? But yeah, listen. I'm gonna put it this way, man. A lot of these people, either they are doing it for the clicks, right? Because they are grifters, which, let's face it, that's the gaming media. But even in our own community, you know, I think people simply want things to complain about. I think what they wanted from this generation here was a substantial leap in Waza. Even though they all tell us that somehow graphics don't matter and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. They wanted that. They wanted that substantial leap, that kind of like, oh, I can't believe I was playing PlayStation 4 games before and I thought they were good. And since this generation has been a more gradual transition, you know, and a more seamless transition, but they see it in a negative way. Like half of them will decide to take away exclusives because those were base PS4 games, and then they're like, oh, you receive a PS5 port. Not realizing that it received a PlayStation 5 port because you were not playing the PlayStation 4 version backwards compatible. You were playing the native PS5 version. But that doesn't count because it existed, the PS4 version. And again, I just think that people, they want to be angry because they sold themselves a lie, and then they chose a lot of things like the whole "we believe in generations." People are still pretending that somehow Jim Ryan lied. And I'm like, nah, man, you associated your own truth to it. And guess what? He didn't come out and say otherwise because it wasn't his job to. Because you lying to yourself about that one, it made his job easier. Like, do you think that if I say to you like, hey, I'm going to give you this thing, and you somehow misinterpret that to make it a lot better, but that means you're going to buy my thing anyway? I'm not going to stop you from thinking that. I'm not going to correct you. I'm going to be like, well, you assume it, and I'm just not going to say anything about it. So, yeah, absolutely. People want to be angry. They sold themselves a lie, okay, that they wanted this generation to be leaps and bounds ahead of the previous one. And again, while it is leaps and bounds in some respects, it's not in the aspects that they wanted it to be. And so now they just want to be mad at the world and they want to see the whole thing burn down. And it is insufferable to listen to. Okay. So that is that's exactly how I feel about it. But yeah, I don't even want to keep talking about this topic anymore because soon enough you're gonna start naming names and then people are gonna get mad. You know what I mean? We're just gonna move past it.
You just skip, because right now, right? I went to Metacritic, right, and I know it's not the end all be all, but I'm thinking, what are some of the best reviewed games? That was the console that sold the most, had the most hardware. Everybody had it, right? So I'm thinking, is it because of first party? That has to be it, right? 155 million. So I'm gonna put it up on the screen right now. I'm gonna just put it up on the screen and look at some of the best reviewed games on the PlayStation 2. Right off the bat is Tony Hawk. Then Grand Theft Auto 3. Resident Evil 4. Metal Gear Solid 2. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Grand Theft Auto Vice City. Now we finally got a first party game, which is Gran Turismo 3. Then we got Madden, another good. Tony Hawk. So good. Gran Turismo. Yeah, that's just trash.
Trash.
Yeah, now play. But now you got Devil May Cry, Madden, another Metal Gear, NCAA. Now you got God of War as 15th, Virtual Fighter, Burnout 3, another God of War, SSX, Okami, NFL, Winning 11. This is soccer, Virtual Fighters. What else? What else we got here? We got Winning 11 Soccer again, Soul Calibur, NHL, SSX again. Then there's a lot of SSX. Prince of Persia, Final Fantasy 12, Final Fantasy 10, Guitar Hero 2, ESPN Football, Guitar Hero, Madden, Klonoa, which is a third party, Ratchet and Clank, Metal Gear, Twisted Metal. So these two, Ratchet and Clank and Twisted Metal, first party. Shadow Colossus, first party. NCAA again, DOA 2. Look at all these top review. A lot of sports games. God damn. Another football game. Another European football. Ico. Okay. Tony Hawk again. Now we got Ratchet and Clank. Now we got NBA Streets. Right. So ESPN, baseball, Jack and Daxter. All right. That's first party. But we got Burnout. What's this? College football. Persona 4. Time Splitters. Beautiful Joe. Rayman. ESPN Hockey. Dragon Quest. Tiger Woods Golf. Street Volume 3. NHL. NBA. Holy shit, there's a lot of sports games. Need for Speed, Ace Combat, Tom Clancy, Splinter Cell, P3. Now we got Gran Turismo 4.
Yo, they were really just handing 90s like nothing. How are they 50 games
like
in the 90s?
Shit,
Jesus Christ.
They
Can
were
you
just
go all the way down to 100? Are we even going to hit 85?
Yeah, like I want to see. So 70, like
This
half of this
impressed.
half of this list is sports games. NBA, ESPN, like holy shit, the top 100.
72 games down, and then you're still at 89.
Yeah. Now we're at 88 with Tiger, Madden again, Medal of Honor, Tekken, Ratchet and Clank. We got Red Faction. We got Tiger Woods Golf again. We got NCAA, Slide 2, FIFA, NASCAR, Fight Night Round 2, SOCOM 2 finally. Like damn, on 85th. We got Dark Alliance. We got NCAA, Splinter Cell, Devil May Cry 3, Jack 2, World Series 2K3, Metal Gear Solid 2, Bully, NCAA, NASCAR, MVP. Chat, I think we could safely say half this list is sports in of itself. Then we got Dark Cloud, Splinter Cell, Kingdom Hearts, and then the 100th game is, what's this, Guilty Gear. So the top 100, majority like is sports and third party. Like sports. Well, no wonder Microsoft pushed that shit. See what I'm saying? So like, so let me look at like let me see PS3 era. Let me see PS3 era. Let's start there. So PS3 top 100 games. Yep, of course, Grand Theft Auto, now Uncharted. So we got Uncharted 2, right? Remember, but like we said before, it was really Naughty Dog during the PS3 era that kind of changed that gave that mentality, right? Batman, Little Big Planet, Red Dead, The Last of Us, Portal, BioShock, Modern Warfare, Call of Duty, BioShock, Mass Effect, Street Fighter, Metal Gear, Oblivion, Braid, Mass Effect, Skyrim, God of War. So now we're seeing a little bit more. Uncharted again, Street Fighter, Rock Band. This is Journey. So now you're starting to see a little bit more representation from PlayStation. Ico Collection, Rock Band.
I'm so sorry, man.
Little Big Planet. Oh, you gotta go. All right. So let me just.
I gotta go. I gotta bounce off, guys.
All right. Hey, we're gonna cut the show short. Hey, do your outros.
Yo, listen, guys, go out there, play games, okay? I've been playing Dave the Diver. It is a fantastic, what is it?
It's not first party, dog.
Indie game. It's great on the Portal, right?
Not first party.
Love it. Right, sorry.
It's not exclusive and not first party.
Oh,
sorry. No games. You're not playing games. No games.
I'm not playing. I haven't been playing games, guys, is what I wanted to say.
Played no games. We're doing petitions.
Can we do a change.org petition?
Oh, yeah, there you go.
For this? Yeah, we need to go and call, who do we call? Sony? Yeah. Sony. It would just be like, hey, Sony, release PlayStation first party games.
That's it.
That are exclusive to the console.
That's what we're going to do. I'm going to start the change.org. Yeah. They will release first party games every month. Every month. One new game, man. But hey, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
To the chat, thank you so much for coming through. Don't forget to hit the like button. And bro, play these games, bro. Even if you never played these type of games, trust me, man. You know, don't be boxed in with that. Even I tried to play a racing game at least one time. Yeah. And it was a fucking horrible experience. But anyway, I tried though. All right. That's all you can do, right? But anyway, you only... That's it. There you go. At least you tried, right?
At least you tried.
Okay, your only friend is YouTube Streets, PorterRock77. You guys take care. I'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much for rocking out. And on your way out, again, hit the like button. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. Stay tuned for a video. I got a very good video. I might release it tomorrow or Thursday. Wait a minute. Thursday is 4th
Release
of
it
July,
tonight.
right?
Release it
Thursday's-
tonight. Start the change.org. Porter videos every single night. Every night. That's what we need.
All right, so I'm gonna tell you my next video. I'll tell you right now. So the next video has to deal with Alana Pierce, and I guess there's a big conundrum because she made the statement of, you know,
Or the situational
the
disability.
situational disability, and it just got
I agree with
crazy. It got crazy. So
All you
I'm
parents.
you guys have to say, but it's not what you guys think. But of course, on this channel, I'm gonna provide that education. So Professor Rock is gonna be here, but Thursday's 4th of July, so the video might be
Same
tomorrow.
thing for pet owners. All of you. And you guys that have kids and pets, I don't even know how you're happy. You don't have happiness.
So I might drop the video tomorrow, so that way you guys will have a better understanding of what's going on. But anyway, the only for these YouTube Streets, PorterRock77, we're out of here. You guys take care. Peace. All right, the stream.